If you go on Google right now and type in real estate market or, what's the real estate market like, you get thousands of headlines that are just like this. These are all conflicting. They say different things. Some people predict that the housing market is going to continue upward. A lot of the media is saying that the housing market is going to crash. So I just wanted to give you what our local market insights look like right here in Coastal Delaware. I know the national media may be saying one thing, but right here locally, we're seeing something different. So I just wanted to bring that to you guys and just give you a little bit more insight as to what you can expect if you are looking to buy or sell here at the beaches. Before we dive into the video, if you are just tuning into our content for the first time, my name is Matt Lunden. I'm a real estate agent here in Coastal Delaware, and we put out content each and every week discussing what it's like to live, eat, breathe, sleep, and play right here in Coastal Delaware. And we want to become your go-to resource for all things Coastal Delaware. So if you could, just do us a favor, hit the subscribe button down below, smash that notification bell next to it, just so you stay in the loop each week when we go live with new content. Now let's get back into it. So if you've had your eye on the media recently, there's 1,000 different opinions out there as to what's happening, what's gonna happen in the housing market, and what it may look like down the road. But I just want to bring you what we're currently seeing right here, right now in March of 2023 here in the Coastal Delaware market. I know we discussed another video just like this last month, and I'm going to try and bring these to you monthly. That way you guys get a little bit better feel as to what the current situation is, so you are fully prepared when you do decide to make that move to the area. So right now in March of 2023, like I said, we are experiencing darn near historic lows in inventory. Now, what does that mean? There are just not a lot of houses on the market, and the big reason behind that is 99% of mortgage borrowers currently with mortgages on their homes they live in, 99% of them have rates that are below 6%. That doesn't sound like it's a crazy low number, but below 6% is a big difference. I just checked this morning. The rates are at 7.1% right now on average for a 30-year fixed. Obviously, that depends on your financial situation, creditworthiness, all that good stuff. But 7.1 versus below 6, that's a big difference in your monthly payment. So most borrowers that currently have a mortgage are below 6%. Now, what does that mean for inventory, and why is that important? It's important because those people with low rates, historically, if rates remain kind of the same, if they don't like the home they're in, or if they need a little bit bigger home because they're getting ready to have a child, or maybe a child just left the home, or maybe their situation has just changed and they need a new home. A lot of times, if the rates are similar, they'll just list their home, go down the street, buy a new one, figure it out. But now that interest rates are up into the 7s, we're seeing a lot of those people who otherwise would have relocated to another home in the area just hang tight in their current homes, and we've seen the renovation market really start to take off. So a lot more home improvements are being done, and a lot more renovations are being done because people are making peace with where they're living, and they're altering the home to fit their situation versus finding a new home to fit their situation like they would have previously. We don't expect to see inventory get better in the next couple months, especially just with where interest rates have gotten to. A lot of those people are just hanging tight, and unless they absolutely have to move, most of them are just going to alter the home to fit them versus just finding a new home like they may have before. That brings us to our next point, which we mentioned slightly in the inventory range there, but prices are not coming down. We've seen some homes obviously have had price reductions, but we saw more homes with price reductions last year at this time than we have this year. So while the media may be saying that prices are falling and the sky's falling, it's just simply not the case here in Coastal Delaware. Prices are remaining level. We have seen them increase about 2.8% year over year. So it's not a ton. They're not appreciating at 50% like they were at one time, but they are still increasing slightly. And that's just one thing to keep in mind. As interest rates do increase, we've seen a lot of cash buyers come back into the market and start to pay with cash, which keeps those prices where they're at, plus the low inventory. The combination of those two things has made prices remain stable. We don't see a big fall off coming. There's not going to be a big 50% price reduction that we see, at least in our models that we look at. But on a specific house, if it's been sitting for a little while, maybe it was overpriced for the condition it's in to begin with, those homes we're starting to see price reductions on, or maybe some negotiations where there's seller credits involved for buyers and those kind of items. Prices have remained stable for those of you that are looking for big crashes. We just don't see it coming. So just keep your eye on things. Again, as interest rates are likely to continue to tick upward, we'll keep an eye on pricing just to see where it goes. But right now, it's a very expensive time to buy a home. which if your situation determines that it's the right time for you to buy, or if you're a cash buyer, obviously some of those things you can't prevent. But if you do have a choice, it is expensive, so make sure it works in your financial situation before you dive into the market. The next hot topic that we're seeing is that days on market have shot upward. Houses are sitting forever. You know, they're doom and gloom, all that good stuff, which is simply not the case. You know, homes aren't selling in 13 hours like they were, you know, a year or two ago, but they're still selling on average within 3 weeks, which is very quick. You know, back in 2018, 2017, homes were sitting for 3 months. So if something's on the market for 3 weeks, it's not the end of the world. The sky's not falling. You know, it's just kind of normalizing a little bit. We're still less than 30 days. So homes aren't sitting for months on end. If you're a seller and you're considering listing your home, just keep that in mind, that it's probably not going to sell the first weekend unless it's very competitively priced. And if you're a buyer, just know that just because somebody didn't buy it in the first week or two, it's not the end of the world. The house isn't falling apart or anything. There's just less inventory, you know, and interest rates are kind of at a weird point. So as people are starting to look at the limited inventory, they're keeping in mind what the costs are going to be associated and just being more cautious of moving forward. It's not the end of the world if something is on the market for 15, 18, 19 days. You know, once it gets to 60 days, then you start to, you know, question what pricing's like. But really, even at a month, it's still pretty normal. We've mentioned it a few times in our other points, but just to bring it to the forefront, and the main reason behind this video is the interest rates. It's no secret that interest rates are a challenge right now. They just spiked back up over 7% for the first time in a couple months. They did hit 7% back in the fall, but then they fell back down. We are now back over 7% again at roughly 7.1% on a 30-year fixed average, which it makes it tough. It's definitely tough to find something affordable depending on your financial situation. And it's not easy to swallow the pill of a 7% interest rate when your neighbor could have a 2.5% interest rate. But, you know, it is the nature of the times. We do expect those rates to come down at some point. Most of the financial predictors that we look at have it coming down into the high 5s, low 6s by the end of the year. But in the short term and between now and then, I do unfortunately think that interest rates will continue to trend upward. And that's mostly just as the Fed tries to combat inflation and try to get it under control. They've got to do what they've got to do. And to make life, you know, not as expensive as it has been, they've got to bring some of those rates down eventually. But right now, they're going to continue increasing their basis points just to get the spending under control. And the tough part is, you know, a lot of people are employed right now, which may sound like great news, but unfortunately, that's bad news for inflation, because that means there's plenty of money in the market to keep spending and keep increasing the cost of goods, which makes life tough for us because it's going to increase our interest rates as the Fed continues to try and rein that in a little bit. Now, it's not the end of the world. You can always, if you qualify, refinance down the road, but it will make it a little bit more expensive from the start unless you're able to negotiate like a 2-1 buy down or something similar, to where the seller can actually issue you a seller credit. A lot of times when homes have sat for a little bit longer, the seller will be willing to negotiate, get you a seller credit to where you can actually buy your interest rate down lower by a point or two for the first year or two of your loan. And then hopefully by that point, the rates have come down and you're able to refinance long-term into a lower rate. But just something to keep in mind as you move forward, that over the next probably 6 months, I don't see interest rates getting a whole lot better. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I just don't see it happening. I do hope it gets better by the end of the year, though. Now, we say all that and we wrap it all together with what do we expect to happen by the end of the year, and, you know, where do we think the market's going to go from here? The reality is, I think less homes will be bought and sold this year than any of the years we've seen recently. So over the last 2 years, obviously very hot market. I think we'll see many fewer homes sold in 2023 than we saw in 2022 and 2021. However, with that being said, I do expect the prices of those homes that sell to be a little bit higher. I do see some appreciation happening. Again, supply and demand there, where you've got very low supply. The only option is that prices will go up, even as interest rates continue to trend upward. Like I said, we've seen a lot of cash buyers come back into the market to fight those interest rates and not have to pay those interest rates, And I just think that prices will continue to just tick upward slightly. I don't think it's going to be crazy by any means, but I do think prices will continue to trend slightly upward just because supply is at historic lows. And again, interest rates, my prediction there, I think in the short term, the next 3 to 6 months, we're going to see it continue increasing, and it's probably going to get closer to 7.5, may creep up towards 8%. But I think at the end of the year, and as we creep towards 2024, which is an election year and things tend to get better in election years, I do think we'll see that start to come down a little bit, and we will get some relief there at some point. I just hope that it's sooner rather than later, because it's definitely not easy telling people that, hey, your mortgage rate is 7 point whatever percent. They like to hear something much lower than that. They would obviously like to hear a 3, but anything in the 6s or below at this point would be a great deal of relief for many buyers in the market. As always, if you are looking to buy or sell real estate here in Coastal Delaware, that's what we help people with every single day, and we would love to help you. So all our information is down below in the description and here on the screen. Don't hesitate to reach out. We love hearing from you guys here on the channel. And again, we want to be your go-to resource for all things Coastal Delaware. So if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button down below, that'll keep you in the loop each week when we go live with new content discussing everything life and real estate here in Coastal Delaware. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Peace.